Hello, everybody. We'll get started in a second. I'm Sarah. This is Jess, Serrante, and we're going to get going officially just when there's a few more people who've joined, but nice to see a few familiar names. I'm sure some of them are probably familiar to you, Jess, as well. They might be from your audience. And yes, I'm in Canberra, Australia.
Which is where you
And
grew up?
sort of. I grew up outside Canberra and commuted into Canberra for school. But yes, there's a lot of familiar landmarks and trauma sites. and
That's
um,
how it goes when you visit an old place, right? Like,
and
oh, I
you know,
remember that.
you go straight back to feeling like a little kid, you know.
Mhm, I
So,
do.
and yeah, and I've got to ride my mum's electric bike everywhere, so that's how I'm getting around, and it's just all feels a bit strange. But anyway, um,
Yeah.
yes, it's a temporary sort of place just for the moment. Well, look, we might get started in an official way,
Great.
and I'll do sort of some catch up introductions as we go for anybody who joins a bit late. But I'm Sarah Wilson, and I have. Well, I'm hosting this on my Substack. This is Precious. So many of you would be familiar with it because I think you're joining via the link that I sent out. And today I'm talking with Jessica Serrante, who is a podcaster foremost. You've joined, I think, Substack relatively recently, haven't you? But
Yeah.
Jess, do you want to introduce yourself? Give us a bit of a rundown of who you are and what your Substack does.
Yeah, sure. Um, yeah, I guess I joined Substack around maybe about a year ago, actually. But the truth is that I'm a coach. I work with people. So my background is that I've been a climate organizer and activist since I was 18 years old, so more than half my life at this point. I worked in corporate accountability, campaigning at Greenpeace and other organizations like that, fighting big corporations on their destructive policies. I burnt out in that work, as many of us do, and then turned toward coaching and met Joanna Macy, the creator of the work that reconnects. And so I've pivoted now toward doing more of my work supporting people who are working in the climate and social justice space. And so I offer coaching programs, and then I created a podcast with Joanna over the last couple of years called We Are the Great Turning. And now my work is a sort of hybrid of carrying Joanna's legacy as a facilitator, and then also continuing to do my coaching work.
Yeah, yeah, and in fact, that's how I came across your work, is through the Great Turning podcast, or We Are the Great
We
Turning?
are the great turning.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I was listening to it in Paris, and when you with podcasts, I always know where I am, when I listen to various episodes, and um, often I'm riding or walking around, and
Mhm.
and I'm listening to the podcast, and I just remember where I was on several occasions where I just had to stop and cry, you
Mhm.
know. Um, and I know you cried quite a lot through it. I mean, it's a wonderful
Yeah.
podcast. I'll put the link into the below if you're listening to this later in the video format. And for everyone listening, if you have to jump out of this call, I do post the video on my post, and Jesse might do the same thing as well, so
Mhm.
people can go back and listen. But um, we sort of follow your journey through your angst in and around the uncertainty of what is happening to our world and what's happening to humanity. And Joanna basically coaches you through this. And I'll just mention to everyone, just to catch everybody up, I think a lot of listeners would be aware of this, but Joanna died in July, was it last
July
year?
19th. 20.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and I know there was quite a few people in my community who joined something of a sort of a grieving circle. What was it called? Where people went online and there was a grieving it was called a grieving something or other. A few people mentioned it to me where they were able to go and join in on their thoughts on having lost such a formidable voice, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, there was the platform that her family was keeping that they were offering updates because she was in hospice for 6 weeks.
That was it. Was
So
through the whole
it felt like
process.
the whole world was coming in around us as she was leaving, and it was so beautiful sharing her
What did we call
experience.
it? Was it what was a sharing something, or it was just basically a place where, yes, whilst where people could feel so together, you know. Which I thought was really beautiful. Anyway, so yes, that's the context. Welcome. And what I would like to really talk to you about today, and I think it really pivots from the experiences you shared with Joanna on that podcast, and now, of course, you're continuing that conversation on Substack, is the grief process. Now, you've just emerged as well from the grieving process following Joanna's death, and um, a lot of people here are actually struggling with, I guess, a form of anticipatory grief
Mm.
around what we're potentially and very possibly, um, and most likely, more and more likely going to lose going forward. Could you just talk to us a little bit about the grief process that you've been through over the last sort of 6 months or so?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if I would say I've emerged from it. I would say it's like it's this ever shifting,
You're emerging
grieving
through it, in
road.
it.
Emerging through it, yeah. Sort of being made by it in some ways. Um, one of the hardest things about losing Joanna in the moment that it was happening was that I said goodbye to her 3 weeks before she died. And her family, like, closed in this sweet little nest that they really needed, and I was just sitting vigil at home down the street, unable to be there with her. And so that was its own sort of crucible to really practice being with loss that was imminent, right? This is relevant to what we're experiencing in the world too. It was like, I mean, in this case, we knew it was like we knew what was coming. We knew that we were saying goodbye to Joanna, and there was relative certainty there. But like, we were being asked to sit in the pain of the loss. And I mean, I wanted any possible opportunity I could find to try to escape it, but there really was no escape. And so I was riding these wild waves of just like, I'd be washing a dish, and then 15 seconds later I'd be sitting on the kitchen floor just sobbing. They would just come and take me.
Yeah.
Um yeah, and then in the weeks and months since, it's been this process of reaching for her, of trying to find what my relationship is with this beloved now that she's gone, and it's no longer as sharp as it once was, but it's been this like renegotiation of what is this relationship,
Mm,
you know?
yeah.
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 And feeling her inside me, which I will say, has been one of the most beautiful things in the last couple months, has been having these moments of desperation where I'm just like, if I'm so lost, I'm so confused. In the podcast, I bring you into multiple moments like this where I'm like, my heart is being ripped open, and I can like actually reach to her and be like, what do we do about this? And I have her accompaniment, and now I don't have that anymore. But what I've learned is that like all of that she gave me while she was alive is still right here. Like all that I love and all that I've learned is mine. It can't be taken from me even in her death. And so I've learned to like self-resource that, to hear her voice, to tap into the things that she's taught me, to tap into that love.
Which was the point of her teachings, wasn't it? It
Yeah.
was in the discomfort, in the pain, and do your journey through it rather than grasp outwards to others or others, but also other sources of comfort and inspiration. That was her teaching,
Mhm.
it felt very meta at times.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah. What were some of the teachings that you drew upon? Because there's so many in that podcast series, particularly around grieving and finding the beauty in it, and they're really quite unique. I've sort of read a lot about grief, and I've absorbed all kinds of theories. But can you just talk through some of the the wisdoms that you've drawn on over the last? I guess it's longer than 6 months, but yeah, over the
Yeah.
last while.
Yeah, one of the most poignant lessons that she taught me in that podcast creation process, there's a scene that I bring folks into in episode 5 where I'm sitting on the rug underneath my desk. I'd been trying to work. It was during the beginning of the siege on Gaza this time, and I couldn't do anything. I was like just overwhelmed with grief, and I called her, and the thing that she said to me is, "You wouldn't wanna not have this."
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
This pain is sacred pain. The fact that you can feel this is a gift. The fact that you are not numb to the horrors of this, of what we're capable of, the fact that you are connected to, like, that every cell in your body wants to reject this, like,
Yeah.
that's a good sacred thing. And I remember it, like, it didn't take away any of the horror, and it didn't take away the
Mm.
pain. It made the pain more bearable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it becomes a practice, doesn't it? It really is a practice. We've got a culture that taught us to run away from pain, that we should be able to buy our way out of it. Like, you
Right.
deserve more. This is not right. And when something is uncomfortable, we are taught to go out and seek a salve, a fix, a solution to this. And we're really rendered absolutely useless and vulnerable when we come up against something that can't be fixed, which a lot of people come up against it when they're facing chronic illness,
Mhm.
when they face the death of a loved one, or, they're with them during a terminal illness. And then, of course, the world that we're in now, I,
Right.
th- I think, where we run away from an awareness that this can't be fixed. This is going down. Now, there's obviously subtleties in and around how much
Right.
this goes on. Um, and yeah, I think the two of you in that podcast talk a lot around uncertainty and the future of humanity and what dies and what doesn't die. And I love that I remember there's a bunch of episodes where you cover off the fact that this is not something that we believe in or not, and it's not something that we can hope ourselves out of or seek